Hi everybody, it's meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Friday, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to get a video done yesterday because just time got the best of me at one point, and that was that. But I just want to show you the snowstorm that has been going on in the central Rockies is in the process of slowly winding down, but we still have some snow and also some rain in the mix too. There's still some winter storm warnings up for parts of southeastern Wyoming and into northern and central Colorado. Those will probably gradually be taken down as we go through the day. In the meantime, we have some rain and thunderstorms running their way up northward through the Great Lakes, and we have some thunderstorms and downpours from central Oklahoma down into North Texas, west of Dallas, well west of Dallas-Fort Worth at the moment. But there are some strong embedded thunderstorms in the mix there. Let's take a look at the satellite loop, and here's the western storm. Very impressive for this time of year, and you can see what extremes it takes to get a storm like this in the middle part of May, that you have to compensate that with record high temperatures in the eastern states. So the atmosphere completely out of balance and still cold enough in some places where you could wind up with a rare mid-season event. It's not that they don't get snowfalls out here into early May. It's just that to see something of this magnitude is really a little bit out of whack. So it's going to be done before too long. In the meantime, here in the east, we're waiting for a cold front to move on through, and that's sort of taking its time. So in the meantime, we've got still, at least going into the middle part of the day, a lot of sunshine across southern New England down into the mid-Atlantic states. I'm not sure how much thunderstorm activity we're going to get out of this today. It doesn't really look all that impressive to me when I look at it, but we'll see. And here's this system out in the plains that is not going to be moving to the east in any big hurry. So we're just going to see dry air come in for the weekend. You can actually see drier air across from Lake Superior northward into Canada. There's a big high that's coming down, and that high is going to be building in for the weekend, so it's going to bring temperatures back down to average, or maybe in a number of instances it could even be a little bit below average. So we are going to check out these changes as we move through. And with respect to severe weather today, general area of thunderstorms, a marginal risk from central New Jersey southward. We've got a slight risk and enhanced risk indicated from the Ohio parts of the Ohio Valley through the middle Mississippi Valley and back over into the southern plains as that low begins to move its way out to the northeast. And meanwhile, as we head into the midday hours, you can see what the temperatures are already. We already have our first 90-degree reading north of Philadelphia. Most temperatures right now in the middle 80s. I was actually down right along the South Shore a little while ago, and it was wonderful because just inland of the coast, temperatures were in the low to mid 70s because the wind already coming in from off the water. So that'll probably limit the heating to the south-facing shorelines. But these inland areas are going to see 90-degree readings, and maybe even to about 91 or 2 would not be at all surprised. We saw low to mid 90s yesterday. So let's play this out. I'm going to first look at the NAM model today so we can take a look at the west, because we still have some snow being indicated, but you can see how it winds down and it's just about gone. And we also have this outbreak of severe weather being indicated by the NAM from southwestern Missouri on through Oklahoma and into North Texas for this afternoon and tonight. Looks like it could be a fairly impressive outbreak as that low translates its way to the northeast. And in the meantime, in the eastern part of the United States, and we'll get you a close-up, really isn't going to be too much going on going through the weekend. I think the biggest issue is probably going to be some cloud cover. The NAM only produces a couple of scattered showers and thunderstorms this evening, and then I think there might be some cloud issues early in the day on Saturday in some areas, but overall the dry air does take over, and we should have at least some sunshine for Saturday and for Sunday, or part of Sunday anyway. Clouds roll in, and now here comes the next low and cold front with some showers and thunderstorms later Sunday night into Monday afternoon, or Monday morning at least, and then it's all done as that low moves on to the east. So where are we going all this in the long term? Well, I think for that, we need to look at the GFS upper air. So we'll take a look at that. Let me switch models here really fast. And we'll punch that up. The new GFS is beginning, so I'm going to have to defer to the old one. And we'll start with the upper air. There we go. Got to click a lot of buttons to get to where I need to go. Okay, so we've been talking about the fact that we do have this blocking that's going to develop, but I've been emphasizing the fact that this upper high that you see up here over in Greenland, and now we're looking at Saturday morning, begins to develop and close off, and you can see it right here. It is nothing like what we had with the block from a week and a half ago. By the way, that whining is my dog. He's sitting under the table wanting attention. Okay, come on, Cody, let me finish my video. So here's our, this is the little disturbance in the upper air that's producing the cold front that's going to be pushing through. And here's our system out in the west. Notice that a ridge builds up into the west coast, and there's a ridge back over through the Great Lakes over the weekend. So as we move along, the blocking high is there. Again, the signature is not very strong. It certainly doesn't seem to be strong enough to lock things in the atmosphere, but it does produce a deep trough for the middle of next week. And you can see it here. Whenever you have, if you're going to have above normal pressures and heights across the North Atlantic like this, you wind up displacing the trough very far to the south in the east. So this is going to create a rain situation for the middle part of the week. A ridge builds up in the Rockies, but there is something coming down in the Pacific Northwest, and there's also something off the west coast. Now, moving along, that trough lifts up, and you still have later next week, now we're into the Memorial Day weekend, you still have above normal heights here, but again, it's not really extreme like what we had, so at least it allows weather systems to move along in the flow. It would suggest to me that temperatures will probably be back to average, maybe a little bit below on some days, maybe near or just slightly above on others, depending on what's happening on the surface. But we still have these troughs coming into the east as long as we have this weak blocking signature up in Greenland right into the first part of June, by the way. So it doesn't make for ideal beach weather for the Memorial Day holiday weekend. These last 3 days would have been great if we had timed it out for the Memorial Day weekend, but it didn't quite work that way. And in the meantime, in the long term, another system comes into the west. So I'll just put the surface now. We'll go to the U.S. surface map, and we'll see what this particular run did. Now, one of the things we're going to have to consider is whether models are going to wind up being further south with low pressure systems with each run. I think that's that possibility because you have that block. So here's this low coming out of the Central Plains. There's the big high building down the East Coast. A little bit of residual moisture across the Mid-Atlantic states early Saturday. Then the high moves out and the next front goes by. So this is now, we're into Monday. The GFS is slower and a little more developed than the NAM is with its precip field. So we'll have to consider that there may be maybe more widespread activity. Here's the next system coming out of the plains. Notice the west is pretty quiet at this point. So when you get that blocking signature with the trough in the east, you're going to have quiet weather in the west. Now here's where I'm thinking you have to watch for something that winds up being further south and maybe creates a bit of an onshore flow for the middle of next week. You have a low that goes into southeastern Michigan, but most of the pressure falls are going to be to the south and east of that. So another low is going to form. See how these isobars, they get stretched out like this? They're kind of like that. There's a second low that's going to develop south and east of the original low. The reason is that with the block there, this lead low really at some point has no place to go. So it's basically kind of like trying to find the path of least resistance. So it'll transfer energy down to a place where pressures can fall and that there might be an alleyway for this weather system to move along. And that's what this model does. So suddenly you have a low sitting off the New Jersey coast Thursday morning with rain and maybe a fair amount of it. And then that low lifts up into Canada. Now we're going into the Memorial Day weekend. I mean, to me, it looks to be on the slightly cooler side of normal. And we do have a weather system that's approaching for later Sunday night into Monday in terms of a cold front. Okay. out in the west, you start to see some scattered showers, and then again, now we're kind of into fantasy land now as we're I have it now through Friday, June 2nd and June 3rd. But actually, when you look at this surface feature at June 3rd, this is actually quite cool if this were to materialize literally the way it's shown, which I don't necessarily believe at this point. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. Have a great weekend. Check out website posts, meteorologistjoechaffee.com and weatherlongisland.com as well. And we also have Angry Ben on nycweathernow.com. Thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. If you're new, please hit the red subscribe button and subscribe, because that's absolutely free. You get notified when new videos come up, which is usually once a day, unless like yesterday I wound up with my hands full and couldn't get a new video on. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.